This latest work, The President Ghana Never Got. The President Ghana Never Got. And I see a certain picture there, but I'll see to you first. This book, let me see, how many pages? Almost 400 pages.
More than that, yes.
409 pages, including the
citations.
Why this book? Why this time?
Why this book? Why this time? In the United States, when they swear in their presidents, by the end of the first year, there are often books out about them. I think in Trump's first year, I counted as many as 18 books or so.
I remember some of them.
Yes. And then we have our presidents, they come and go, they don't write anything. For instance, I had a conversation with former President Rawlings. He told me he was writing his book. That was in 2016. We didn't see it, and then he went with a whole lot of experience and things we could have learned from. So I decided at a point to start documenting happenings. So in 2019, I came out with my first of such series.
The Fourth John.
The Fourth John, Reign, Rejection, and Rebound. And then he ended the dynasty of the Johns. Then we had our first Nana, who some of us thought was the savior. If the Johns came to prepare the way, then the Messiah was now coming to take us to the promised land. Unfortunately, that is not what we witnessed. And I've lived through this period, and I feel I have what it takes to document what has happened in the past 8 years. So I decided to, from what I know, what I have researched, and extensive interviews I had with certain persons in government, including some very close to the president, I decided to put this together, at least for posterity to know what has happened. If 50, 60 years from now, somebody comes and says, well, there was a certain Akufo-Addo or there was a certain John Mahama, and they are trying to compare records, at least there's something documented. If you look at the current debate that is ongoing, a lot of it has to do with the fact that most of our, or most aspects of our history have not been written, and then we have disjointed accounts. So if you take this book, it obviously cannot cover every single activity, but the major happenings in the past 8 years in the presidency of Akufo-Addo, including some that are not publicly known, but sources within the government revealed the stories behind them. I think this is the right time for us to take stock of what he has done. And as a journalist, I think it's also part of the accountability and letting the public know.
Okay. Is this going to be then an assessment of the reign of Akufo-Addo? But I also want to find out, do you have personal experiences in there? For example, there have been claims about, oh, at a point you were being hounded and you ran away to South Africa and all of that. Are personal experiences in the book as well?
Yes, if you look at the media, there's a chapter titled, let me just, since I have it here, let me reference. There's a chapter on the media. I think that should be in part 3. Yes. Murder, Arrest, and Exile, the woes of journalists under Akufo-Addo.
So that's chapter 20, right?
Yes. And I personally encountered a lot of these things. If you look at the fictional in quote, Ejapadia document, you find my name in that document. And I have not had it very easy in this administration. I had to go to South Africa at a point. That was in 2019. 2020, I had to go to Germany because of death threats. Between 2019 and 2021, I had to drive with police protection. It got so bad that I had to see a clinical psychologist for therapy because there's a mental health aspect to this. So there is some part of that in the book. I also recount some of the experiences I had, because sometimes you find people asking, does the president even know what is happening behind the scenes or all of that? I had a personal experience that I had to take a step to let people within the presidency know, and at a point when I felt that the message might not be getting to the president, I booked an appointment with his wife. That's the first lady. And when she came for that meeting, she said, well, my husband says you have access to him through a number of people, so he's surprised you are coming through me. And I said, well, it is true. But for ABC reason, I think I should let you know. So these are things that have happened within the period that the average person may not know how these interactions happen and whether or not the highest official of our country is privy to some of the things that happen.
Did you end up speaking with the president?
I initially wanted to. I remember speaking to his cousin, Gabi Asariochiridakon, and when I finished, I had done my recce and people said, well, he didn't, or he wasn't happy with the work I was doing.
Who wasn't happy?
I mean, the president.
The president wasn't happy with the work?
How I was going about my work. So I asked Gabi whether there was a possibility of speaking to him, and he said, well, I don't think he will speak to you. And I asked why, and he said, well, he thinks you've been mean to him. And I said, but I even spoke to Mahama. He said, well, people are different and how they process things also differs. Then at a point, I tried to also see if I could get another avenue. I didn't even tell Gabi, so I reached out to the president's lawyer and mentioned...
No, okay, at that time, you're talking of not the secretary, the lawyer.
The lawyer, I think Yawoh Esuma. And said, well, I'm doing this project and I felt I needed to perhaps speak to the president. Gabi told me he didn't think the president would speak to me, but is there by chance? Then he advised that if there's anybody who could convince him, then it should be Gabi. So I went back to Gabi, and Gabi mentioned that I should send a letter to the president first. And looking at how things were at that point, I felt that I wouldn't be able to meet my deadline. So I couldn't get the opportunity to speak to him, but I spoke to a number of people within his government who confirmed a lot of the things, and I had an extensive interview with Gabi, more than 2 hours, where I asked about the president, some of the things, the decisions, and the family and all. So I don't think I miss anything significant not speaking.
Right. So you feel you've gathered information, your sources in government, your sources online, your sources from experience, you feel this is watertight, though you've not been able to interact with the president? Or
no.
Right.
I would have loved to, but the circumstances didn't permit.
All right. Let me also go to Professor Alidu Seidu and ask, having read this book, you're going to be one of the reviewers.
The reviewer.
The reviewer.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, then your seat is hotter than I thought. What did you make of this book, especially in the context of being a student of political science? And you know, we don't say you can be a professor, but we are all still studying. As a student of political science.
I thank my brother for the confidence he has reposed to me. But I honestly think I'm unqualified to do for the task he has asked me to do.
You are.
Because I've never written a novel in my life, though I have close to 50 publications, books, journal articles, and those things. I've never been an investigative journalist. I've never won an award. And honestly speaking, my friend and brother elected me to speak to your audience this morning, so your listeners and viewers this morning, about a groundbreaking, very impressive, magnificent work that he has done. And reading this book, honestly, I have learned a lot that I never knew about Ghana's history and about our current president, and one of the serious things that inhibits our ability to develop. when I review a book, I look at three important things: the credibility of the writer, that's the author, the content of the book or the work, and then the method or the methodology. And I think a lot of people know Manasseh as a seasoned journalist, award-winning journalist. But a lot of people don't know that he's also a very good author. And I think he's written 5 that I can count. The Voice of Conscience 2016, Letter to My Future Wife, The 4th John, Rain, Rejection and Rebound, Investigative Journalism in Africa, a Practical Manual, and then this current book. And actually going through them, this book in particular, I've realized that it is historic, yet futuristic. It sets the context of the current discussion by going back to pre-independence, looking at our historical struggles, the role J.B. Dankwa played from the CYC days up to the Fourth Republic. And basically, it will amaze you to know, and if you don't read this book, you wouldn't know, why there was no single Northerner, but even less Ashanti prominence in the formative years of the UGCC, and also why the Cape Coast chapter of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, led by Kobna Sechi, refused to be part of the UGCC at the formative years, and even why the Accra Ratepayers Association, one of the elitist group you could find at that particular time, led by Frederick Victor Nanka Bruce, right, also refused to be part of the UGCC. So it gives you a whole lot of history from the beginning, and that even fits into our current debate of whether the apostrophe comes before or after the S in the founder
or founder.
And I think he started writing this thing long before the debate started. But it is promising. It gives you perspective into what you expect and how to do things better, given our history. But it is also written in a very simple narrative style, yet it is very detailed if you take the book. So you'll be marveled to know the last and the only time a Ghanaian leader wore a political suit for substantial inauguration as a president. If you don't read the book, you wouldn't know why the number of seconds the current president held the presidential sword when he was sworn in at the first time and when he was sworn in at the second time. And all these very minute details fit into providing a lot of evidence in the narration. He also talked about the mobilizational powers of our president and why he preferred to replace ministers rather than reshuffle them. And then and also the so-called big-size government that he had during those particular years moving forward. But it is also very revealing. To be honest with you, if you want to understand the full-blown strategy of how the NDC was able to elect Bagbin, the Right Honorable Alban Sumani,
you have to read this book.
You have to read that.
We're not going to give away.
No, I'm not going to say it,
but at least we know what to expect. Come that
it's mind blowing.
I can see where you're
honestly,
going.
I just want to make the last point. Look, it is local because it uses Ghana as a setting. The characters are Ghanaian. The issues are issues that affect Ghanaians. But the impact and the influence of the book is global. It speaks to the role of state institutions and how when they are undermined, it affects our collective ability and resolve to develop. But leadership is key, but also the people you surround yourselves with can be a very critical issue in determining how things go.
So this is what we're going to do. We're going to activate the phone lines shortly. We're going to cap off this conversation and activate the phone lines for you to share your thoughts on what we've been discussing in the course of the show, this as well. But Manasseh, before you take leave of us, is this book all about Akufo-Addo? And what can we, look forward to come tomorrow? Tomorrow is the launch, right?
Well, it's not all about Akufo-Addo. You have a Jeopardy in there. You have the economy in there. You have how the finance minister, that's Ken Ofori-Atta, actually benefited. Former finance minister. Actually benefited from the loans we took. There were these arguments that before he came, Data Bank was already doing it. People would be surprised to know that when he became a minister, Data Bank was not part of the companies. It was a year later that Data Bank came back. And I think since its inception, I think 27 years or so before Ken became finance minister, data bank had only been used twice. And then also interesting details from Parliament. I spoke to the woman who told Honorable Muntaka that a Supreme Court judge called her, and there's a story of how cash moved from the Jubilee House to Parliament during vetting. And so there's a lot to find.
There's a lot of meat.
And some of these things I actually spoke to MPs, and they confirmed. Yes, the cash came. What was it used for? You find it in that book.
So all roads tomorrow lead to the Christ the King parish as we launch this book, The President Ghana Never Got, and pictured there, yes, the man himself, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo. What time are we looking at tomorrow at Christ the King?
It's 5 p.m.
5 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. You have your reviewer. Which other people are showing up? We have to go, but quickly. Any others?
Oh, yes. There are very many people from academia, politics, business, media, and of course, Harmonious Chorale will be there to entertain us.
All right. And so we had in the studio Manasseh Azure Awene, investigative journalist, author of that book, The President Ghana Never Got. Some were saying before that would have said, oh, the president Ghana never had. Well, the president Ghana never got. He did become president. It's getting launched tomorrow. Christ the King parish. It's actually opposite the Jubilee House. Until you don't need to go far. 5 p.m. And also joining me in the studio, Professor Ali Duseidu. He's head of department at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. We're activating the phone lines now. You know the number to call, 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2. And let us actually hear from you. But in between, your favorite podcast show, Bus Stop Diaries, now airs every Saturday. And I'll be giving you more details of that as we go on. 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2 is the number you can call. Can we talk about Bus Stop Diaries as I started earlier? Your favorite podcast show, Bus Stop Diaries, now airs every Saturday at 4 p.m. on the Joy News channel. You can also watch and listen to all our episodes on the Joy News YouTube channel, myjoyonline.com, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Grab a chilled drink and join us for another exciting journey filled with trending buzz. Let's pick our first caller now. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name, where you're calling from. Be very brief. We have limited time.
Okay. My name is Honorable Zakaria, former Assembly member for Kumbungunga Electoral in the Northern region.
Quick thoughts.
Yeah, my regards to Manasseh and Dr. Alido.
All right.
Actually, I also want to comment Manasseh for the launch of this book. But I'm looking at the time and it's an election year, but I want to find out whether Manasseh also have something concerning his exile in South Africa.
He actually mentioned that he had a bit of it, not just South Africa, but Germany as well. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. On to the next caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Please don't listen to me on your TV set. Listen to me on the phone. Your name, where you're calling from.
Hello?
Your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning.
Okay, I think we may have to get on to the next caller. 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2. It's at the bottom of your screens. Hello, good morning. Do we have a caller on the line? Hello?
Wow. Hello?
All right, Abdul Fattah, what are your thoughts for us?
Yeah, please. I want to congratulate Manasseh on the launch of his book.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also like to hear from him concerning some of the issues raised. If you look at, we are in a political, an election year, and I don't know that people see the impact of this book coming to our elections, because if we study what is happening around the world, there's a lot of tension with regards to elections, and I don't know how the book
All right.
will impact, and I don't know how people will see in comparison with trying to, convince electorates, or trying to, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, I don't think I understand you, but whatever the point is, thank you very much. That's our final caller. I will say this, if you are looking for impact, it will come from those who read the book. So you might as well grab a copy for yourself, and then we'll see what I don't think he can sit here and tell us that my book will have this impact, or that it will determine who wins election 2024. Anna?
I can't. Interestingly, 2 cabinet ministers called me and then expressed similar concerns. Yes. And I said, well, as a journalist, I've always been doing my work, and even in election years, I don't stop doing my work. And in 2016, people would remember, it was an election year about this time. There was a Ford scandal, and one party was happy,
Ford Explorer,
another party wasn't happy, and all of that. So I will always do my work as honestly as I can. Whoever benefits or does not, that is a secondary matter.
Put it there. Some good work.